up everyone, welcome back. So lately I've got hung up on transforming old clothes into new ones. You can check that out on the description below. But today I'm about to do something different, so keep watching. My name is Audrin and today I will be bringing you along with me as I transform this sari into a panel skirt and a flounce shawl. I'll be also showing you guys how I installed the invisible zipper to the skirt, how I did a roll-on hem stitch for the flounce shawl, the way in which I used the cutout appliques to design my own waist belt. I hope you guys will have fun watching this one. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So these are the materials you'll need. An old sari, two kinds of fusible stiff, one is a little less thicker than the other, a matching color lining, I'm using white here, then you'll need a scissors, thread cutter and a seam ripper if in case something goes wrong and if you want to rip that seam off. Then you'll need some pins, invisible zipper, threads, also hooks, that is usually used for pants and sometimes for skirts, and a chalk. We'll also be using a clear colored fish line for the flounce shawl. The measurements you'll need is the length of the skirt, which is measured from your waist to the floor, and then your waist and hip measurements. Now you'll need to make your panel pattern first, and to make this process a quick one, I quickly referred to a YouTube video to learn how to make a panel. The only changes I've made to the calculation was that I divided my waist and hip measurements by 12 instead of 8. After making the panel pattern, I used the pattern to cut all the panels out from the sari and pin the right sides together and stitch them close. And continued to keep attaching all the panels. And that's when I figured that the 12 panel aren't going to be enough to fit my body. Realizing I took my measurements 2 weeks ago, which was 26.5, and by the time the skirt was done, I've gained 2 inches more. This can also happen when you don't do a test fit of these random patterns you create. After I'm done with stitching all the panels, I placed the skirt onto the white lining, and as I'm cutting, I cut leaving a little extra lining all around because I'm gonna stretch it out and pin it with the main skirt. I didn't want to take that risk of cutting the lining any shorter than the main skirt, and at the bottom I've left about ½ an inch extra because I wanted to do something else to the hem. We'll get to that soon. And I did repeat the same steps onto the second piece of the skirt. I'm pinning the skirt and the lining together, and at this stage I was really glad that I cut the lining a little bit bigger than the paneled one. So coming back to the bottom part, like what I said earlier, I'm adding a piece of the stiff at the hem so that it's not that flowy at the bottom and it stays stiffer. As this sari is a little bit of a fray fabric, I had to base stitch the lining and the main fabric before attaching the waistband or the zipper. And then after that, I'm trimming off the hem of the lining along with the stiff with it, as I want the lining to be standing a little bit shorter than the panel skirt, and I didn't want the lining to be seen outside while walking. Here I'm going to give the bottom edge an overlock, and I'm stitching the top part of it in place, just in case if it loses its stickiness after a few washes. And now I'm finally attaching one side of the skirt, side seams all the way down. And after we're done with closing one side of the skirt, we're ready to install the invisible zipper onto it. So the first thing I do is I place the zipper the way it has to be placed onto the skirt. And then open the zipper and place the first leg of the zipper to one side of the skirt by flipping it and pinning it down onto it. And then do the same with the other side as well. Once you're done, you can zip it up and see how you'll get the end result once it's stitched. Here I'm using a single presser foot for the invisible zipper. After stitching the zipper in place, I'm closing the side seam around the zipper with the single foot itself and then changed it to universal foot to close the rest of the seam all the way down. Here I'm cutting the waistband and added a buckram to the band which is smaller than the band itself. Pressed it onto the band before folding onto its right side to finish the sides of the band before it is attached to the skirt. Here I am folding one side towards the stiff and finishing the sides of it. By matching the seams of the band and skirt, I pin the open side of the band all along the inside of the skirt. And after we are done attaching one side of the band onto the skirt, after stitching it in place, fold the band onto the right side and finish it with the top stitch. And as you can see, the band will be a little extended outward where the hooks will be attached to. And now that we have finished the skirt, let's move on to the making of flounce shawl cutting and sewing. Here I'm cutting a flounce shawl pattern of 7-inch width, and this is another DIY pattern I'm trying. So it's like a spiral pattern, and here I'm cutting it on a paper first as this is my first attempt and as the chances of things going wrong is really high. And then I'm placing the paper pattern onto the pallu portion of the sari where the embroidery design is present. When I'm done with the cutting part, I had to prepare the band next, onto which the shawl is going to be attached. I've cut the big flounce shawl into 2 pieces as we are creating a double layered flounce shawl, and also because I found the length to be way too long. Problems you face because of not making a toile of such random patterns you create. So here what I'm doing is I'm finishing the ends of the band by folding the edges, and I'm attaching the flounce shawl onto one side of the band. Now it's time to add the second layer of the flounce shawl onto the band and stitch it just like the way I added the first layer onto it. And after we are done with attaching the shawl onto the band, and as you can see, I've attached the second layer just beside the borderline of the band, the way in which the blue line is visible from the outside. Here I'm finishing the ends of the shawl that we have left unfinished before. The last part is to insert the wire onto the rolled hem of the shawl. I'm using a roll-on presser foot. You can either do it with or without the wire. So lastly, we have a belt left to be prepared. So for the belt, I'm cutting those embroidery designs out from the sari and also cutting stiff for the circles so that it won't fray while I'm attaching it onto the belt. I'm using a stiff for the waist belt as well. And now that we have to attach these appliques onto the belt, I'm giving a zigzag applique stitch to patch it onto the waist belt. To finish the band, I cut another band of the same length and width from the leftover sari, and to complete the same, I'm placing the right sides of these bands together and stitched it all around, slashed and flipped the band inside out. Give it a top stitch and attached hooks onto the band. And that's it guys, the transformation of sari to a panel skirt and a double layered flounce shawl. And for the final outlook, I'm wearing the sari blouse itself with the outfit. You can either wear or pair it with some other kind of blouse or tops or crop tops, or you can wear the sari blouse itself. Everything in this video was all a trial and error process, and I've learned a lot from it, but I really loved the way the outfit came out. I would love to know what you guys think of it, and you can leave your comments and suggestions in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you guys with another creative project. Until then, take care. Bye.